Welcome to PsychWSigmund, the podcast, where we explore the fascinating world of psychology and uncover the secrets of the human mind. I'm your host, Sigmund, and today we're going to delve into one of the most fundamental concepts in psychology, classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is a learning process that explains how we associate stimuli with responses. In simple terms, it's about how our brains learn to connect the dots between things we experience and the emotions or behaviors that follow. This concept was first introduced by Russian physiologist Ivan Pavlov in the early 20th century, and it has since become a cornerstone of psychological theory. So, let's dive deeper into the theoretical background of classical conditioning. Pavlov discovered that when he rang a bell before presenting food to his dogs, they would eventually start salivating at the sound of the bell alone. This was a groundbreaking finding because it showed that animals could learn to associate neutral stimuli with naturally occurring stimuli that elicited a response. Over time, this concept has been expanded upon by other researchers, including John Watson and B.F. Skinner, who explored its applications in human behavior. One of the key psychologists who contributed to our understanding of classical conditioning is Robert Rescorla, who developed the Rescorla-Wagner model. This model explains how we learn to associate stimuli with responses based on the predictability of the outcome. In essence, it says that we're more likely to learn an association if the outcome is unexpected or surprising. Studies have shown that our brains are wired to respond to conditioned stimuli, even if we're not consciously aware of them. For example, functional magnetic resonance imaging studies have found that brain regions involved in emotional processing, such as the amygdala, are activated when we encounter conditioned stimuli. Other research has demonstrated that classical conditioning can be used to treat various psychological disorders, including anxiety and phobias. But how does this concept apply to our everyday lives? Understanding classical conditioning can help us appreciate how our environments shape our behaviors and emotions. For instance, if you always associate a particular location with feelings of relaxation, you might find that going to that place helps you unwind. On the other hand, if you associate a certain smell with nausea, you might find that encountering that smell triggers a conditioned response. Classical conditioning has also been used therapeutically to treat various conditions, such as post-traumatic stress disorder. Exposure therapy, for example, involves gradually exposing patients to the feared stimulus in a controlled environment, helping them learn to associate the stimulus with feelings of safety rather than fear. By understanding how classical conditioning works, we can develop more effective treatments for these conditions. Another area where classical conditioning is applied is in marketing and advertising. Companies often use conditioned stimuli, such as logos or jingles, to create associations between their products and positive emotions. For instance, the sound of a certain brand's slogan might make you feel happy and nostalgic, even if you're not consciously aware of it. In addition to these practical applications, classical conditioning has also been linked to other psychological concepts, such as operant conditioning and social learning theory. Operant conditioning, for example, explains how we learn behaviors based on rewards or punishments, while social learning theory explains how we learn from observing others. By understanding the interplay between these concepts, we can gain a deeper appreciation of how our behaviors and emotions are shaped. As you go about your day, pay attention to the ways in which classical conditioning might be at work in your life. Are there certain sights, sounds, or smells that evoke strong emotional responses in you? How might you use this knowledge to create positive associations and improve your well-being? In conclusion, classical conditioning is a powerful concept that helps us understand how our environments shape our behaviors and emotions. From Pavlov's dogs to modern-day applications in therapy and marketing, this concept has far-reaching implications for psychology and our daily lives. By recognizing the ways in which we learn to associate stimuli with responses, we can take steps to manage our behaviors, emotions, and environments in more intentional ways. That's all for today's Psych with Sigmund. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, May your ego find balance between pleasure and reality.